One of our loyal viewers, Chris, texted me the other night. He was getting ready to watch a film, wanted my opinion about it. I hadn't seen the film in a while. I remembered liking it a lot, and I knew it was back here in the closet somewhere. And that brings us to today's episode. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet, full of all the stuff that I love. And today, a film that some people call a film of firsts, especially for two particular actresses who went on to great success. Let's check it out. Today's film is Don't Bother to Knock from 1952, a brisk 76 minutes in beautiful black and white. This is about a man who's trying to reconcile with his girlfriend, but then he decides to hook up with another woman who has some serious psychological problems. This is a great cast in this film. The man is played by Richard Widmark. Always love to see him in any film. I don't think he ever gives a bad performance. His plays a character named Jed. He's been in some great noirs like Night in the City, Kiss of Death, which I believe was his film debut, Pick Up on South Street, Roadhouse. His girlfriend is played by Anne Bancroft. This is Anne Bancroft's very first film, and she plays the nightclub singer Lynn Leslie. And what's interesting is she's so young in this, but what's interesting is that when she begins to sing, and she sings about 5 songs, some not completely, but when she begins to sing, I thought that it cannot be Anne Bancroft's voice. She has a very distinctive kind of husky voice, so I thought this does not match her at all. And sure enough, I found out, yeah, that voice was dubbed in later by a different singer. Now, the woman who has the psychological problems is played by Marilyn Monroe. Her character is named Nell. This is her first leading role. So she is described on the back of this Blu-ray case as a demented babysitter who thinks Jed is her dead lover. We do learn that as the film goes on, something's not quite right about her, and she gets progressively worse, let's say. But she gives a very good performance. You know, Monroe she's not playing a sex pot in this by any means. And she took acting seriously. She joined the Actors Studio, the Lee Strasberg studio. So she wanted to be a serious actress. She's very good. She's not platinum blonde in this. And she still has that childlike vulnerability that she always had in all her films. I like her in noirs like Niagara and The Asphalt Jungle, one of my favorite film noirs. Her uncle, who arranges the babysitting job for her, is played by another wonderful actor, character actor, Elijah Cook Jr., another guy I love to see in anything he does. He has over 200 films, TV and films to his filmography, and he tries to keep Nell out of trouble and get her back to a regular life. He was in some wonderful films, including The Maltese Falcon, I Wake Up Screaming, and Phantom Lady. The other first for this film is the director, Roy Ward Baker. This is his first Hollywood production. He mainly worked in England. I did a lot of Hammer films, including 2 I really like, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde and Quatermass in the Pit. I also want to mention the cinematographer, Lucien Ballard, who worked on The Lodger, the 1944 version. He worked on Laura. He worked on the Sam Fuller film, Fixed Bayonets, and the Kubrick film, The Killing. Ballard's challenge in shooting this film was it all takes place in one hotel during one night. So we see hotel rooms, we see the lobby, we see the nightclub. But if it works okay, it doesn't feel too claustrophobic, really. It begins with Bancroft, the nightclub singer, talking to the bartender, complaining about her boyfriend, how she wants to break up with him. The boyfriend shows up. He's played by Widmark. He's very gruff and sarcastic. He's got the best lines in the whole film, and he delivers them great. And he's upset that Bancroft wants to break up with him. Meanwhile, we meet Monroe, and she's being introduced to this couple. She's going to babysit their daughter, Bunny. Elijah Cook Jr., her uncle, arranged this whole thing. He's warning her, you got to do this the right way. Get your life back together. So we know something's up with her. We're not quite sure what. But we learn as it goes on that we see her, she puts the kid to bed right away, doesn't want to be bothered with her. She's kind of mean to her, really, in some ways that are very surprising, especially for a 1952 film. And Monroe starts putting on the woman's negligee and her jewelry and her cologne and everything. And then Widmark, he's dejected because Bancroft was trying to dump him. He goes to his hotel room. Through his window across the courtyard, there's Monroe wearing this negligee. He figures out her hotel room number, invites himself over, and then he goes over there and soon enough learns that he got more than he bargained for when Monroe thinks that Widmark is her dead lover who was killed in World War II. And things get progressively worse from there. And a little bit of a spoiler, we see some scars on Monroe's wrists from where she tried to commit suicide. We learn that Monroe had been in a mental institution for 3 years and only been out for a month. Interestingly, Monroe's real mother was in a mental institution. So this is a kind of a quasi-noir, I would say. It has that World War II element to it. It has Monroe's pretty dark character, and it's got Widmark and Elijah Cook Jr., two stalwarts of film noir in there. And so the look of it, I wouldn't say so much noir, but some of the lines and some of the characters and themes are pretty dark, actually. So my rating for Don't Bother to Knock is going to be 4.5 elephants out of 5. Why elephants, you ask? Bunny, the little girl, that's her favorite stuffed animal, is a stuffed elephant, and it kind of plays an important role later on in the film. But it's a very entertaining, fast-moving film filled with great performances. In fact, the couple whose kid is being babysat is played by Jim Backus and Lorene Tuttle. Now, Lorene Tuttle, I didn't know her name, but I recognize that voice and that face. She is the wife of the sheriff in Psycho. So if you know that film, you know what I'm talking about. So what's on this disc? This is a Twilight Time disc. I don't know if they're in business anymore, if they're making Blu-rays anymore, but I did look on Amazon, and I bought this several years ago. On Amazon, this is going for $75. I think I paid maybe 10, 15 bucks for it, so it's got to be out of print. Finding a physical release of this film is going to be difficult, but Chris, who I mentioned at the beginning, he did watch it on TCM, so it might be on the app. You can rent it. You can try your local library as well. Now, this has, for extras, 2 A&E biography episodes that run about 45 minutes each, one on Monroe and one on Widmark. They're both very good, filled with lots of film clips telling the chronology of their career and their growing up and everything, and interviews with people that knew them. Widmark, one thing in particular I remember is he was in a film called No Way Out with Sidney Poitier, and I believe it was Sidney Poitier's first film. And Poitier is interviewed in the biography segment, and he said Widmark was such a stand-up guy, and he was the only guy in Hollywood at that time who would invite him over for dinner. And so I thought that was kind of a nice touch. So that's it for Don't Bother to Knock. Not sure what that title means, and I think this picture of Monroe is a little misleading because she really is not a sex pot in this film at all. But she can't help but be beautiful, right? So feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down below. Thank you to Tina and Michael for your positive, interesting comments. I appreciate it. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. Thank you to new subscriber Leonardo. Really appreciate it. Hope you like this episode. Follow us on Letterboxd under the Kazdoy Closet. Otherwise, see you next time.